And welcome again to the Backstage Pass, top of the hour, of course. Thanks to Maggie Zabo for being on the show. Always a great guest, a great pop artist out of California. If you hadn't checked her out, you can definitely check her out, allaboutmaggie.com. And of course, definitely go get the single out there across all the digital platforms, and you'll have a good time. Be glad that you did, because she's got more than that one good single that'll keep you busy for a while, especially if you're into pop and dance music. Always a great regular here on the show. And of course, we haven't done two in a day, or the Texas two-step, I like to say, me being in Texas and Jeff in Nashville. But back here again, Brandon Morrell, Jeff McMahon, again presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, Hank Jr. Productions, and definitely a great company out there. MitchMax.com. You can go get you some Backstage Pass merchandise out there. And yeah, I just talked to Todd a few minutes ago. We are going to do a holiday sale. Not sure when he's going to kick that off, but we'll do a little holiday sale for you guys out there at MitchMax.com for official Backstage Pass merchandise. And I'll tell you, always a good time to talk some Christmas music. She's got a premiere she's doing with us today for the lyric video here called Alone for the Holidays, which came out November the 12th. Stella Prince, Nashville recording artist, joins us. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you back, too. And anytime I get contacted with Premiere anything, the song is great for one thing, but Premiere, we're going to step on that pedal and hit the gas and keep going, too. We were talking a little bit before the show. Of course, a lot of artists, the live shows are getting busy again. Their own lives are busy, personal and professional. I guess the last 18 months, crazy for everybody out there, especially in the music industry, but you've kept yourself busy with this, of course, this single coming out for Christmas. And just tell me what else has been going on in your camp.
Yeah, it's, I've been so lucky to be able to perform so much despite COVID, and even virtually when the pandemic was super intense. And I've actually done about 50 shows in the past year. And that has just been like the biggest blessing ever for me, because it's my favorite thing in the world to do. So it's been a huge thing, and I'm so grateful for it.
And is that a combination of live and virtual, or what is that 50?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'd say the first 6 months of the pandemic was strictly virtual. And then last year, I kind of started doing a few in-person shows, but then really starting this summer, it's been all in person, which has been so wonderful.
So talk about how that virtual show environment started for you, because from what I gather, I think that I'm wondering, for that first virtual show, did you work up 30 minutes because you knew you were going to bite the bullet and do your first virtual show? Or did you book that first virtual show and go, oh my gosh, I've never done more than 2 songs at a time? Because it seemed like that kind of pushed you out of the nest. Is that right?
Oh, that is so true. The first show I ever did virtually, which is really the first show I have ever done, that's more than one song. And that was The Bitter End, virtually last summer. And it was just a huge learning experience for me. And it really kicked off, all my shows. And it really just, that kind of show taught me so much about performing in general. And I really was able to grow so much through the virtual shows. It's been amazing. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, no doubt. And of course, keeping busy this year when things kind of started to get back to normal and the live shows got back out there, and you guys were doing that between virtual and live on location. Couple singles I wanted to bring up, and we talked a little bit before the show. Before you leave, tell me about this one and how much fun this was to put together, I guess, both professionally, lyrically, and in the studio.
Yeah, so that was my debut single, and I had never released anything before that. So that's definitely one of my most special releases, because it's the first song that anyone has ever heard from me. And yeah, it was super special. And I remember coming on here, I think in April, for that release. And yeah, it really is so special. And I wrote it at the start of the pandemic, basically because you just never know when you'll lose someone, and it's kind of just talking about, before someone you love leaves. So it's definitely a touching song.
I like that too. And then you guys went into some more great work out there, a song called Scared, which is out there across all the platforms, as well as the new Christmas tune we're going to talk about today when we play the lyric video. Talk about Scared and give me kind of the backstory of that one.
Yeah, Scared is another super personal one. It came out in May of this year, and I wrote it honestly because my whole generation kind of started the pandemic at like 15, and now they're like turning 18 and they're going to be adults. And it's just kind of a super scary time for my whole generation to just kind of be let out into the real world as adults and have to fend for ourselves. So it's kind of a scary time.
I love how you grew up on some of the, and we talked about this probably back in April, that old school sound of music. I mean, I know you mentioned Emmylou Harris and Judy Garland, Patsy Cline, just as your favorites. During that time, music is, and even now, is still special, but people will never forget those timeless classics. So Jeff and I have done a lot of the great 90s country stars here on the show here, and those songs live on forever and will. What was it about those artists and, of course, that, I guess, era of music that you seem to take a liking to?
I think for me, all of the voices from those particular artists are just so timeless. And that for me is the only thing I want to be, I want to be known as, is timeless, and be able to, my music to live on for generations. And I think their voices just have lived on for so many decades, and that is so powerful.
Well, I think a lot of those singers, and I've never had the opportunity to hear you live, but the nature of the music that you do is not overblown with lots of instruments. Now I know you do you like the big band stuff. I don't know if you sing it, but the singers that were popular in that era, and I've heard you mention Judy Garland, but people like Rosemary Clooney, people like Julie London, who's one of my favorites. They could do the big band stuff, but they also were not relying on tuned vocals and all the extra stuff to carry them. They still sang, and they still could sing. Julie London, some of her best stuff or my favorite stuff, is her and a guy on brushes and a stand-up bass and that vocal. And I know that a lot of your music is also that sparse. Is that part of the attraction, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think authenticity is just so important in music. And I think it really speaks to everyone. And just really being so down to earth and really singing your emotions. And I think that's what they all did. And that's definitely something that I aspire to be, absolutely.
Before we play the video and talk all about Alone for the Holidays, you got that passion for songwriting. I know you talked about that last time, and just enjoying the fact that seeing something come to life that's just kind of like a newborn baby. It's something you put your personal touch on, goes out to the fans. They hear all the lyricism and of course what you do in the studio and putting your own sound on it with terrific musicians and stuff like that. Take me through the songwriting process and tell me a lot about what you do. Is not just a passion, but it becomes a craft too at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when I was around 10, I wrote my first like real, 3-minute song. And it was because my dog died, and he actually died that day. And that was the first time I ever had enough emotion to go down and sit at the piano and write a really emotional song. And I think that's really where it all began. It's just putting all my emotion into this art and this piece of art and this music, and just pouring, my whole entire self into it. And I think that's been something that is, it's been in me for so long. And I think now it's just so amazing to finally be able to put it out into the world. Yeah.
I love that too. And I'll tell you another little piece of thing I got to dig up too in preparation for the video tonight is, Jeff and I've been doing this almost 3 years, going on this with the show and my whole team here. And my radio background was 20 years going on to it here in Texas and stuff like that. But you have a little background from a local newspaper and this local radio DJ. So you're no stranger to doing things like this too. Tell me all about this, because I kind of dug this up today. And is that true?
It is true. Yeah. When I was like 12 years old, I was doing tons of these things. I was a junior reporter for the local newspaper. I had my own radio show at a local station, and I played 1930s and 40s music. So, and that, in itself was a huge, learning experience for me, because in like sixth grade, a sixth grader, I was like digging up all of these forgotten singers from like 1919 and beyond. And it was just incredible to do that. So.
I love that too. Just some little tidbits we like to bring up here. All right, before I play it here, it's the lyric video premiere from Stella Prince, Nashville recording artist, Alone for the Holidays, out there across all the digital platforms. Tell me about this, and we're going to hit play and be able to just turn it all over to what's a great video out there and a great Christmas song.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So Alone for the Holidays, it was released about a week ago. And, I there's so many happy Christmas songs that I absolutely love and I adore. But then again, songs like River by Joni Mitchell and so many of those very melancholy ones really have spoken to me the most. And I wanted to write a song like that. So this song, kind of talks about what it's like for people to just be really lonely on the holidays. And I think that's something that not everyone talks about. There's tons of people that have, tons of family to visit on Christmas. And then there's so many others that are alone, and it's really hard.
Well, here it is, the lyric video from Stella Prince here on the Backstage Pass, again presented by our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions, Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, get you some merchandise at MitchMax.com, official Backstage Pass merch maker out there. Some good holiday sales coming up too as well. And you don't want to be alone for the holidays, but here is the lyric video from Stella. And if you are, you'll take very much a liking to this song. Here it is. Enjoy it.
It's 7:30, people hurry, it's getting dark. Street lamps flicker, children whisper. Look up and there's no stars. I check my phone and settle in. No one's called and I'm all alone again. When a winter wind blows and the silence of the cold air wraps around me, makes it feel like no one cares about me. It seems like everyone's away and I'm all alone for the holidays. It's 11:30, I've been worried, no one's home. I've checked my phone 1,000 times, I'm really on my own. I keep thinking if only someone would give me a call. Instead I keep staring at the same old walls. When a winter wind blows and the silence of the cold air wraps around me, makes it feel like no one cares about me. It seems like everyone's away and I'm all alone for the holidays. But maybe next year things will change. Nothing ever stays the same.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by thesportsguyspodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here again on the show here, Brandon Morrell, Jeff McMahon. It's the Backstage Pass, again presented by our good friends at Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMax.com, of course, official merchandise maker of the Backstage Pass, and then, of course, our good friends at Bangtail Whiskey, and, of course, Hank Jr. Productions out there. Fantastic video. You should be very proud of this, and I'm sure it came out a lyric video. Pretty cool to put your own personal touch on this type of project, and I still thought your vocals were beautifully sung. It's like riding in a car listening to just any great singer-songwriter out there. So you should be proud of the work you put into that, because I thought it was a great performance, no doubt.
Thank you so much, really.
It's just a beautiful song too, as well. And the fact is, probably tell me about this, breaking it down with a good team to put a song like this together, which is different than other Christmas songs that come out too. And I think the title of it too, was it kind of hard to come up with the title for it?
You know, it was. It's hard to kind of find that exact right hook for a holiday song, especially with this one, because I didn't want it to be like too, you know, kind of hooky and cliche. And but I think it turned out well. And yeah, it's definitely a lot of work to release music, and I'm so grateful for such an amazing team, with my publicist Sherry Cranford, and the amazing animator behind this project, Caitlin McCoy. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, so talk about the animation. I mean, the you know, when you're making something like this, you'll typically start with some drawings or what they would refer to as a storyboard, kind of what your map is for what you see. Now,
Right.
How did that work between you and the animator, such that she didn't suddenly create something that you said, that's not my vision at all? How did you work that out with her?
Absolutely. Well, I definitely thought it would be a challenge at first, just because it's long distance, and, you know, working via email is definitely tough. But, you know, I think it turned out well, because I had definitely a vision of just this idea of just a girl kind of just sitting alone in her room, and the fact that like the whole neighborhood is decked out in decoration and color, and then her room is just kind of sad and sullen, and kind of drab, and it's just her and her cat, and, you know, she's checking her phone, waiting for someone to call. So just, I had that vision in mind. And then she was so talented, and she was able to just totally create it. And it was amazing. So
Did it start with like some initial drawings or color palettes? Did you choose color? I mean, how did you, or did she just create something and say, what do you think? And you said, yeah, I love that one, I hate that one. And then you figure it out like that.
pretty much like that. I
Yeah.
was definitely able to be a part of, you know, choosing the font and the colors, of course. But yeah, she pretty much just came to me and showed me, you know, the whole video. And then I was able to edit some of it. But yeah, it was great.
You know, you talked about songwriting and how much it meant to you too, but I love the fact that you can also be creative out there in something like this, in a project that is the animation, and put your personal touch to it, or somebody can offer it up. And my right-hand man right here, McMahon, he always says, hey, what do you think about this? He'll draw something up, and we'll decide in the end if this is the perfect fit or this is the perfect fit for a show. But you've also taken song lyrics and had your song lyrics published in various magazines around town, Skipping Stones just to be one of them that I've seen and heard and kind of seen out there. What's that been like to take something with working with experienced songwriters and learning so much from them, and then taking that over and seeing that published in various magazines for yourself?
Yeah, well, I have to say, you know, I was so worried about doing my first co-write back, like, I think 2 years ago. And I was so scared. I was like, just turned 15. And I thought, you know, there's no way, you know, it's going to work. I'm strictly a solo writer. And, you know, just going into those first few co-writes, it was just automatically, my whole world was opened. And I really was able to learn so much, and, you know, get so many ideas and chord progressions, and just learn so much from all my other writers around me. So that really has contributed to my lyric growth. Absolutely.
Okay. So with that, here's my question. And I'm reading a whole lot into what I think is how you operate.
Yeah.
I may be completely wrong, but we've talked a lot about the creative part.
Yeah.
Now, I think your work ethic must be tremendous, and maybe not even so much your work ethic as much as being very deliberate, knowing how to make a decision and then move. And I think that a lot of what you have done has been self-motivated, which makes collaboration maybe not difficult, but you just haven't had a lot of practice. The reason I say that is because you graduated early. You're about to have a college degree at 17,
Finished,
which
actually.
I'm sorry, you are finished now. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Mhm.
all of that is your peers were not doing that. The people in your class were not doing that. You did a lot of that on your own. And I remember hearing at some point, and to correct me if I'm wrong, when you released your first single, your plan was, well, and I'm going to release another single. My plan is to do about every 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think you've done that, right? That's exactly what you've done.
Yeah.
So apart from the creative piece of this, talk about how deliberate you are and intentional and focused, and how you decide and then move on from that decision and make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, I think my whole life is about that determination. Pretty much I've known my entire life that I was meant to do this, and this is what I would end up doing no matter what. And so I've always just been, I guess, unbelievably focused and knowing that this was the direction to take. So yeah, I think that's definitely true. Everything that you said. And I think planning honestly is so important. And that is really what I've done, starting from the very beginning of my career. Just because I feel like it's so important to know, what's going to come next and what there is to do, and just have it all laid out. And that's definitely something that I've learned to do.
So you have it laid out, but how do you pull the trigger? Because you pull the trigger, and a lot of people don't, but especially creative people. I want it to be perfect. It could be better. It could be better. It could be better. And that can paralyze a lot of people. You've graduated early. You've done all this stuff. You've got more music out than a lot of people, that have been involved in it much longer. I wasn't even in my first band until I was 23. How do you pull the trigger and not continue to think about it too long?
Yeah. I think because I guess I really just, want it so much, and not in a desperate kind of way, but just in a focus, this is my whole life kind of way. And so I think it's just really second nature to me, to be able to just do it and get it done, and just have it all in front of me and get it all done in a few hours, and plan what I'm doing each hour. And it really is just, I couldn't really live any other way at this point.
Yeah, it's just totally focused, and something that, like I said, I find myself kind of gazing off and doing something on a day where I get my mind on one thing, try to get it done, and go on to the next, and just a multitask oriented type of person, seeing it through, no doubt. Tell me about this, because before I talk about some of the new stuff you guys are already working on, I mean, past the Alone for the Holiday single out there across the platforms and the video and things like that, you being motivated. The Rain Might Fall came out just right after here in 2021. Where did this one kind of originate from? Give me the backstory of this one.
Yeah, The Rain Might Fall is another one of my favorites that I've written. It was released this past September. And, I think for this one, I was thinking, how hard it is to not know what's coming next, and how scary that is, especially for people that are young and very impatient at times. So I think that's really where it was coming from. And some of the lyrics are like, the thunder only knows when the rain might fall. And that's very metaphoric, of course, but I think that can really be taken into real life situations. So.
I like it. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful song too, and of course that led us into "Alone for the Holidays" out there across all the digital platforms, and definitely great, great Christmas single. So go out there and get it, and hopefully you're not alone for the holidays too. It's just the title of the song, and of course the way the song kind of came together, which is different from other Christmas songs, but definitely a place for it. I put it on my playlist, and so hopefully everybody will do that, especially if you get one of those gift cards from iTunes or one of them other ones. You just go punch up what you want and download and stream that way. We'll take one more quick timeout, pay some bills here on the show, and of course get a word for Bangtail Whiskey. If you hadn't checked them out for the holidays, make sure you do that at bangtail.com, and of course over at our good friends at the Easy Liquor app, Hank Jr. Productions, and of course mitchmax.com. Appreciate their support. We'll come back, and we're going to do rapid fire with the great Stella Prince here on the Backstage Pass, so be sure and hang tight. We'll be back here in just a second.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
And of course, doing that on the weekly, daily basis now. We'll take a little bit of a break coming up next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. Still a couple little shows sprinkled in there too as well. So be on the lookout for some great couple things next week. And then, Jeff, we always got to do personal things for the holidays. So definitely we'll take that little break. We'll come back. And then after Thanksgiving, wishing everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and happy early Thanksgiving out there. Spend the time with the loved ones over the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, and get ready to welcome in 2022. Some big things coming up. We'll be at CRS coming up here, Country Radio Seminar in February 23rd to the 25th. And then, of course, hopefully next summer for CMA Fest, broadcasting live with Jeff and the gang from Nashville, Tennessee. Some big things coming up in 2022. And, of course, the new merchandise is out there for purchase right now. We'll do a little holiday sale at mitchmax.com. If you need the website, it's at the bottom of the screen. All right, time for some rapid fire here with the great Stella Prince, a fantastic songwriter, and more big things are coming up for her in the future. First, I got to ask you about this. You guys just put out the single there, Alone for the Holidays, but already, and Jeff's mentioned this a few times, already starting to work on some more stuff that you guys are looking at till you spring into 2022. So without letting the cat out of the bag, as much as you can say about it, tell me how excited you are for these new projects.
Oh, incredibly excited. I'm really hoping that, my whole artistry will be taken to the next level in the new year. Absolutely. And I have sort of a new team, and I'm hoping to release my next single in a few months after this one. So it's lots of exciting stuff coming up.
I'm ready for that too. That's always a good thing too. Let's talk about this. If you could be a contestant on any game show out there, what game show or game shows would you pick?
I guess Jeopardy.
What did Maggie? Maggie was just saying Wheel of Fortune. I've had Jeopardy, and we've had the Family Feud there too, which is always some good things out there. So why Jeopardy? The trivia side of it, the history it has?
I feel like it's just so legendary. I feel like that would just be so classic, to be honest today.
All right, I like that answer. Good stuff. All right, favorite food or beverage you've gotten into lately? I know holidays are coming up. Is there any kind of special food mom or dad cook that you're looking forward to, or a family member cooks?
Well, I have to say, I know a lot of people don't like it, but eggnog is honestly one of my favorite things to have during the holidays. I know it's awful, but it's so good.
Especially when you start, you can do a lot of things with eggnog out there. I won't say what you can do here on the show, but definitely people that are watching can decide what they want to do with their own eggnog out there too at the same time. All right, just last week was the big CMA Awards show. Did you get a chance to watch it? If you did, what were some of your favorite parts?
I didn't get to watch it, but I did see the acceptance speech that Carly Pierce did, and I have to say, it was so touching. It was just incredible to see it, and it's amazing to know how hard that she's worked for that moment, and it's just so touching. So I loved that part.
Well, some good stuff out there. I think one of my favorite ones had to be the Chris Stapleton, Jennifer Hudson performance was wow. I was again looking at my wife going, Yeah, that's why there's only one Jennifer Hudson in the music industry. Amazing
Wow.
song they got to sing there too. And you're right, Carly's speech just so sincere, and the reaction when the camera hit her from hearing her name announced as female vocalist of the year, that just deer in the headlight look like I didn't expect this, and she got the great award. So maybe we can see the great Stella Prince on that stage, Jeff, one day just singing.
It could happen.
Maybe.
Said, lightning in a
It
bottle.
could happen.
All right.
So
Go ahead,
okay,
Jeff.
So well, I was just going to say I was thinking of a question. You know, I hear you reference at different times the 3 J's. You know, you've got 3 J's that are very important to you.
Yeah.
Joan Baez, Judy Collins, Joni Mitchell,
Mhm.
big creative influences. I'm wondering if you were going to add a 4th J,
Oh,
who would that be?
definitely Judy Garland. Oh, or Jeff McMahon.
I knew he
think
was
that's
going with
what I
that.
do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Oh,
Judy Garland. We can go with Judy Garland.
You know, it's
There
another
goes
good. I like that.
But
one
she
too.
had it right there. So she really already knows that she has 4 J's.
It's true.
And she's just been snubbing Judy Garland all this time.
I know. Oh my gosh. Well, she isn't folk, but
Well,
she's-
that's true.
yeah.
That's
I'm gonna take one of our comments I love because Jan always tunes in from Australia all the way over there. Yep, look forward to Christmas. Yes, for the eggnog. That's good stuff too. And Jeff, you get this message back from Jan, so there you go. It's all good. So I love that. Kicked it up a notch too. Sherry, of course, tuning it out there too here on the show. All right, I'll finish with these two. I know getting the live shows we talked about coming back, but is there kind of a bucket list you're saying to yourself, you know, if I don't perform here, I'm just going to travel here and enjoy it for leisure, whether it be a beach or somewhere cold, warm? Where are you going for a bucket list vacation?
Oh, absolutely the beach. I'm in upstate New York right now, which is where my family lives, and it is really cold in the winter. So I am dying to escape to Florida at a certain point. Yeah.
Get down. Warmer days ahead too.
Well, yeah, but you haven't. I mean, we're still in November. You can't escape yet. You'd have to come back and have too much of it left.
It's true. We'll have to wait till like February or so.
Yeah.
Gotta love that too. All right, I'll let you run with this one too because I just kind of love this question, and Maggie got to answer it on the last show. We've done it a couple times this week. Favorite celebrity to have ever written a song with, or someone just in that high profile status that you met at either a writer's round or award show doing a song with, and you kind of got starstruck? Was that celebrity moment? Have you had that, or will you have that? See, he's pointing. I knew he was going to do that. I read his mind.
You know, I mean, it's hard to say. I think the thing that I've felt is like I've had one degree of separation from like my biggest idols. And I feel like this year there's been a few times where I've taken some meetings with, managers or publishers that have worked with like my favorite singers ever. And I think that moment for me is just so like shocking, and I can't even comprehend it that like they actually have worked with like my biggest, idol. It's like crazy to me. So definitely that.
Well, I will say this, and I'll second that motion. McMahon is one of my idols here on the show, so I can say that too. There you go.
Absolutely.
So I have to ask you about the Bluebird.
Yes.
Because I've had the opportunity to play it a couple of times. I have friends that go in and do rounds. Now, the thing is, when you play in the Bluebird the first time, it's always, it can't help but make an impression. Now, the thing is, when I was playing there with some of my friends, it was prepared. It was planned. We knew we were going in there with a round, so we could at least kind of gear up and get ready. Now, I know you played the Bluebird.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It looked like you may have done, one of those open nights.
Yeah.
Which means you weren't sure if you were going to play the Bluebird, and then, oh my God, I'm actually playing it. And you don't get to prepare. You don't get to know and get ready.
Yes.
How did that work for you? And
Oh
were you even for sure what you were going to play when that happened? And tell us about that.
Oh, wow. So that night, I think will forever live on in my memory until I'm like 100, because that was such an incredible night. So I was 14, and it was I think the second time I'd ever been to Nashville. And I was going for their open night, and I had no idea if I was going to play. There were like, 40 people in line waiting to sign up, and it was a whole thing. And I finally got on. I was one of, the last people to go. And, it was such an amazing feeling to be on the stage, and the audience was completely packed. Like, it was like that. And, it was just incredible, because, you just think about how many of, the most incredible singers were right where you are.
Mhm.
And it was just an amazing feeling.
So what did that experience then do for you mentally, professionally? Because I've heard you say things about how you've kind of been serious about doing it as a career for about 3 years. So where was that performance in the context of being some kind of catalyst or pivot point, or was it?
Yeah, it was pretty much at the very beginning of starting some kind of a really serious music career. I hardly knew Nashville well at all, and I had hardly met anyone. So I was pretty much on my own. It was just, my mom and I sitting there, and, it was really an amazing kind of like push in the right direction. Like, I felt like, okay, I played the Bluebird. I am good to go. I'm just going to continue. It was a really, really great start.
Yeah, some people hope to play the Bluebird as their career develops. She just starts there. I'll just start there. Yeah, it's all good.
Well, it's not surprising, of course, with some of the songs we've talked about. Before You Leave, The Rain Might Fall, and of course the current single out there, and great Christmas music, Alone for the Holidays. Just so glad to catch up with you. So excited for you going forward as we close the year and get ready for 2022. Much more exciting things coming up from your camp. I appreciate you letting us premiere the lyric video today. Congratulations on that. Alone for the Holidays out there across all the digital platforms. It is Stella Prince, fantastic singer-songwriter. Stella, appreciate the time, and hey, continued success going forward.
Thank you so much. It was so great to be on here.
Awesome time. Tomorrow, Bo Biscoro drops by, another fantastic artist out of Los Angeles. We get a lot of those from time to time. And, of course, next week we'll do a couple of shows, and also a new show coming out next week here in conjunction with the Backstage Pass. We'll have a little music / fantasy show with you. A good friend of mine, CJ Garton, and I are going to partner up and do a little thing coming up next week there for a little fantasy football talk and a little music and some things going on in his camp. So some new things. We'll have more information on that probably tomorrow, but stay tuned to the pages and all the social media for that. And, of course, Jeff and the entire team, CRS, the countdown's begun there. It's coming up there at February 23rd to 25th at the Omni Hotel in Nashville. Thanks to the sponsors, Sherry Cranford, of course, everybody that makes the program possible. We'll see you tomorrow on the Backstage Pass, again presented by Hank Jr. Productions, Bangtail Whiskey, and MitchMax.com. Until then, have a great night.